Okay. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this cat API, which is going to be similar to the one you guys going to do, which is the NASA daily image. So NASA has a daily image. So if you go to the lesson and you go to here, the documentation, they have like the link somewhere here, but you could say this is the name of it, NASA astronomy, daily astronomy. So you could go to their website right here. And today, this is the image. So April 3rd, this is the image they have. They have a description of what it is. You're going to show all that. So that's what we're going to do similar. We're going to have a cat here. We could put our own text and stuff if we want. So let's do that. So we have sandbox. This is a empty sandbox I created. So let's go cats. So now we have to kind of like plan what we need to show and how we need to show. We need to show a title here, which already we have. We're just going to change it to cute cats, right? And here we could have a description. Let's put it like a P and change it to the last one to P. We can grab description from here if we want to, like you go to the main website, cats API, and just grab a small description of what it is about. So we just grab this and paste that here. Okay, top of that. So that's how it looks like so far. We believe there is an amazing amount of untapped value that could be unleashed with the build API easily connected there. Okay, it's not about cats, but it's fine. And then also now you need to think about like how you want to display. Do you want to have like something around it? Do you want to put all this in one thing? So what I usually do is I just try to draw something. But you could also look for like Google some designs, some styles. So you could open any drawing. So you could just say Google drawing, and Google gives you a drawing tool. There's a drawing tool for Google actually. What is it called? Quick Draw. Yeah, let's draw. Okay. No, not this one. Not this one. Let's see. Yeah, not this one. Okay. So if you don't have it here, if you have Windows, you could grab the Paint. But for me, I can just grab something like Photoshop. But most of you don't have Photoshop, so if you have Windows, Paint is fine. Just grab Paint, which is an application in Windows. That's stupid. So I just create a new thing, just empty is fine. Create. All we need to do is not that small. All we need to do is something basic. Okay, so we have this. So I'm just gonna grab some pen like that. So I'm just gonna draw what I need, how I need it to look like. Where's the undo? Okay, so my title is gonna be at the top. It's too big. Cute cats. And you can do all this in paper too. You don't have to do all these tools or anything. You could do all this in a paper and just line out exactly how you want it to look like. Okay, and we have that. So now we're just gonna add a little more text here, just to make it exactly the same as what we're looking for. Make this text smaller. We're gonna say, I'm gonna copy and paste. Before I do that, let me just delete that. And I'm just gonna draw something like that here. So it's gonna give me like the text I'm looking for automatically. Okay. So all this stuff is just a extra that I'm trying to do, but on your paper, you could just draw whatever way you want. Okay. So, and then I'm just gonna center it. All right. So far that's what I have right now in my application. So I want to show the image in a way. You could show it just basic image here if you want. You could show it in a separate area. So for me, I'm just gonna put this section in color. So I'm just gonna say this section is one color. The size is not gonna be the same. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna add a new layer. So I'm just gonna go to layer, add new, and just change the color here. Where's the paint bucket? So I'm just gonna add some color here. I don't know, it could be anything, it doesn't matter what it is. Nice color. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show the image right here. I'm gonna fill it in. So just I can grab any image, it doesn't matter what it is for now. Let's go to download. Let's grab some image or pictures. Let's just put this logo here. So I'm just gonna grab that logo, and then I'm just gonna imagine this is the cat. So I'm thinking of like maybe putting it right here. It depends on the image. Sometimes if the image is like a size, every image is different size. So you have to keep that in mind. Like if you make it so that it has to fit all the space, you have to stretch it out. You have to say like that, and it's not gonna look good. So one thing you could do is you could say, okay, give it a pattern. So you could give it space here. So let's expand this. You could give it a space, and you could put it in the center and make it a little bit bigger so that it fits each image normally. It fits a normal way. And let's make this background longer. Shift. Okay. So that's kind of like what you could do. You could put the description underneath. You could put it at the top, whatever way you like. You could put this in the center. You could put something around it. You can make it, you could give it a shadow. Like we could give it a shadow here. Give it a shadow like that, something like that. You could play around with it, like whatever way you think that looks nice. You could do that. So let's do something similar to this. I think we don't need to do the shadow, but something similar to this. To do that, you could use the frameworks that we learned, the what do you call the reactor strap, or you could just style it on your own. So just for now, for the sake of just making this easier and like faster, we're just gonna style with our own CSS. So we have to put this in a div, different div, because this is the header. I'm gonna give it class name header. Okay. I mean, you could just put it header, but it's fine. Actually, let me just put a header in this. It's gonna be header. Give it another div, another header here, slash header. And remember, header is an HTML element. We learned at the beginning of our classes. So now that's that. We need to also create another component to display the cat information. So this would be, we could call it whatever you want. I'll call it cat image.js. So because that's what we're grabbing the cat image from. So save that. let's do a quick CSS on this. So we have a header here, and we're using the styles, so which is right here. And I'm just gonna say header, give it a background of whatever. So you could just grab the color name if you want. This color. So you could guess the color, or you could just grab the exact word name of the color. So I'll just say that. I'll give it, so the whole thing, we need to give it we need to remove the padding. So what I would do is I'll just put asterisk at the top. That means apply this to everything. Then I'll say margin 0, and then padding 0. Okay, so that it goes all the way to the sides. And now, okay, here, so background, we need to give some padding. Let's give it like maybe 25 pixels. Okay. You could make a rim here if you want, it doesn't matter. And maybe, should we keep the text black? I think the text black is fine. We could try make it white. We could say color white. Okay, I think the black is better. All right, so that's that. Now that we're just going to create the second component. So let's save this. Second component, this is a basic component. So we're gonna say import React from React. And imagine this is just basically like showing your NASA image, the image that you're supposed to show. So this is literally you could just change this to your own the assignment. So let's create a function here. Let's call it cat image. It's gonna go like that. So now we're gonna return something here. So we're gonna return, what is it? Let's return a div. Closing div. I don't know why it's not closing. And here, let's add a quick h2 cat image here. Okay, so and then this is h2. We have to remember we have to export all the time. Export default cat image. Okay, save that. It's not shown anywhere because we didn't put it in the app.js. So that means you have to import it. Import cat image. Well, dot cat image. All right, so now we put it right after the header, which is here. Cat image right there. You can see, yep. So the image should be right there. So now we're just gonna give the image let's give it a little bit of CSS. So let's import the styles. So just like we imported here, you can just copy it and paste. Let's add here. Let's add a class. Class name is equal to, let's call it cat. Let's call it cat image, because that's what we're displaying here. Dot cat image. Let's give it a margin top, because we want to move it from the top, or we could just give it a margin of 20 pixels. It's going to move down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's enough, one margin. Okay, so save this. Now the next thing is, in Asoji, the next thing is we have to get the image from the API. So So this is where's our API, which was somewhere here. Doesn't matter. We could just go to here, and then we need to just do the search. Yeah, right here. That's what we need. So this is our API. There's different ways to do the API. There's so many ways. You could say here, let API equal to, you could just put the API right there, right? And then you could just use that variable instead of the link. Sometimes what people do is they put they take this part, copy it, and keep that part, and then you call this base URL. Especially if you're using multiple APIs, you don't want to keep copying and pasting the whole link, right? To get an API, we need to grab, remember, the Axios, right? So in Code Sandbox, all we have to do is just right here and then click it, and then it's added. It's that easy. So here we import Axios from Axios. Okay. In here, we have to use a couple of things. We have to use state, and we have to use effect. So we have to import those. Use state, use effect. Okay. It's showing the line because we're not using it yet. So let's set the state first. Let's say constant. So the state basically is the cat image. So I'll just call it like image, and then set image. Use the state, and then I'll set it to empty array for now. Okay, and here we have to use the use effect. Use effect. Inside the use effect, we have to use a callback function. And we put everything inside the callback function, but make sure all the time, right here, be warning, give the use effect an empty array. Otherwise, you will have a loop. Infinite loop. You'll have an infinite loop. I think that's how you spell infinite loop. Okay, so that's a warning. It's really important. So you have to put it here. An empty array. Otherwise, you can have issues. All right. So I don't know why this is giving me that issue. Contains imperative, but effects code. All right. Hopefully so far you guys are following this. Now all we have to do is we need to call the Axios. So we just say Axios.get. So how do we get the Axios? What do we put in here? Right here. If you guys remember the link, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The link and then RES.
Yeah. So we have to put the link, but remember we put base URL here.
Yep. So you use the variable name.
Yeah, you use variable name, and then we concatenate or connect, or you could just use what do you call the template literal right here, and then put the base URL at the beginning. So this is another way people do it. So you just base URL, and then right here after it, you put you say slash, and then we paste the rest of the URL, right? Because this base URL is basically this part. And now the second part is this. So now we say .then, right?
Where do you get the second part, Mark?
Which one? This one?
Yeah, that part.
So
Yes.
remember we copied the whole thing from here. So this is the whole URL. Let me zoom it in. This is the whole API. This is API. We put this part in base URL as a variable, and this part we put it after.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we got it. So
Later on, if you have a different URL, you're gonna copy the last part only.
So let's say you have multiple. Let's say you call in the search and you call in category and you call in the breed. You don't want to keep carrying this whole URL, right? You only change the last part, this part. But you just put the base URL and then you change the last part. So that this is used only when you have 4 or 5 API calls from the same website. Then you just take out the part that they're all similar and change it to some variable. So it's just one example, but you don't have to do it. You could just copy this whole URL, put it right here, all of it, if you want. So here we'll call a callback function. We'll call it res or result or response, whatever you want to call it. And here we render the result. So we just say console log res. You could add a catch here. So usually it's best to add catch just to keep track of the errors. Catch has a callback function. I usually call it error. And here you could just say console log error in case something doesn't work out. Right, save it. Now we can just look at the console log. And we're getting a lot of stuff here. So we're getting this data and one array, an object. The object has an image, and if we view that image, let's check it out. It's a cat. I don't know what it is. Let's see the other ones. I think they're exactly the same. You can check it out. No. Let me copy just the link. It's a different image. Okay. So it's grabbing different images at the same time. Okay. So that's good. So we have the images. Just we need to render them now. And it's best to know where it is exactly. So it's in res.data, res.data, and then it's in an object. You have to call it URL. So what you could do is you could just check. I'm wondering, how do you clear this thing? Okay, no problem. So here I'll just give it a name. So we have an issue with the use effect. I think it's spelling issue. No, use effect. So usually when you have use effect issue, you just look for it. Sometimes the way it's written can throw you in loop. So we did exactly like that. So I'm just copy this part and paste it here. Maybe I didn't write that part correctly. I did.
Is it 19? The brackets measures make it 19 at the end.
Yeah, they go in here. So use effect. So why is it saying that? Okay, let's just go back. Hover over it and you just read the problem. It says accept a function that contains imperative possibly effective code. Okay. Import use effect. Did that. We imported use effect.
Well, Ma'an, what about if you put the if you change the base URL and put the URL? You think that will make
Yeah,
any difference?
this will work. This will be fine. I mean, I don't think that's a problem, but we can try. Yeah, still gonna be the same. Let me actually change one thing. No, this is the issue come from. Okay, so you see we're getting the same data still. We're getting the data, it's just the issue, there's like a little bit of issue with the use effect and use state. The tense is stateful, a function of to update. Reactive use effect is neither, okay, what is it saying? Okay, let me just remove that. Okay, that clears one thing. We don't need this now. I mean, it's returning what we're looking for, so we have no issue with it. So now all we have to do is just show, set the image coming from here to the state, and that image is coming through res.data. So that data, that URL, I think that's what it is. No, but that's undefined. Res.data, it's an object within an object within your, okay. So what we could do is we could just say that's that data, and then we could pass 0 here because it's the first array, and then say URL. Yeah, so that's what we're looking for. So now all we have to do is just pass that data, this whole data, to the state right here. So to do that, we just say set image. Remember, we're using this set image, and we're just gonna pass. We're gonna say set image, and then we're just gonna pass. We have to create a variable. It's easier for us. So we're just gonna say let, let's call it data is equal to res.data 0, and then URL, and then we're just gonna pass data here. All right. So now the state has, this state has the data. It has the image. You can actually console log it to see. Let's remove this console log. And here we say console log. Let's call it state and say image. As you can see, state image has our image. That's what we're looking for right here, cat. All right. So now all we have to do is just show the image here. So instead of this h2, we're just gonna say image. We're just gonna say source equal to image, which is a state right here, our state. Remember, the state is just a URL, and that's what we're looking for. And we're gonna give it alt. We're just gonna say cat. It's gonna close. And now if we close this, we're just gonna have a cat image, hopefully. Oh yeah, it's too big. So now this is where the CSS comes. So I have to give this a class name. We're gonna call it cat. Just call it cat for now. Let's just close this. Let's call it cat. I put it in do not disturb for 1 hour. Okay. So cat. Okay. So now let's go back to CSS.cat. First thing we're gonna set is the width, not the Windows width. We're just gonna say 100%, right? So I think that helps. So 100%. So now if we refresh it, every time we refresh, we get a new cat, right? Oh, this is not cute, but okay. So that's pretty much it. We just went through how to set up this. The main thing is the rest you guys have already experienced it. The only thing is this part. Put everything in use effect, especially when it comes to API call. You could console log the rest of the result, see what you got. And then after that, you set state or set or whatever you call it here to add it here to the state. And then after that, you could call it here. Any question? Kaptan, what you have?
How many components we gonna create, Ma'an? Are we gonna create CSS as well, right?
Yeah, so the CSS, you could use the CSS that already exists. You could create your own CSS. You have to just import it. Make sure to import when you create it. But I would say if you want to use your own CSS, that's fine. If you want to use the what we talked about, which was React Strap or Bootstrap, that's fine too. But make sure that it looks nice, presentable. Different components, you can create 1 or 2 components if you want. Whatever way you want to break it down. So right now, this one cat image, I could break it down into 2 components. One component is it grabs the information and it passes to another component, and then that component displays the image. So the image displaying will be one component, grabbing the data and the API can be one component. So if you want to keep it to in one component, all of it, that's fine too. So this one is app.js and just image, cat image API component. So yeah, any other question? This is exactly how you're going to show the assignment. So you guys will be good, inshallah. Just follow this style. Make sure you name everything correctly. Make sure if you name here something, let's say you name like you name something here and then you have a variable that is the same name, then you'll have a conflict. So make sure that the spelling is very important to check spelling. If you make here and capital I, nothing works. You have nothing here. So now that's gonna mess up your whole thing. So lowercase I. So this should match with this. Okay, this should have been like that.
Thank you, Ma'an.
All right, inshallah. We'll stop it there, and I'll share the recording. But inshallah, just try your best and let me know if you have any issues. If you're stuck, send me a message anytime. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, inshallah.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.